Hi, I'm Chris Nessie from the House of EdTech Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, everybody. Good evening and welcome to My EdTech Life on this midweek show. We've got a wonderful show here. We've got an awesome guest today. We're going to have just a great conversation about creativity, amplifying your voice through creativity. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to all of you who watch our show every week. Thank you guys for all of your support and, just for making My EdTech Life what it is today. So again, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ring the bell, set up your reminders, do all that good stuff. And you can also visit us at www.myedtech.live. So without further ado, today, again, we're talking about creativity, and I couldn't think of just one of the best guests that we can have also to talk about creativity. And we have Mr. Claudio Zavala, who is joining us this evening. How are you doing today, Claudio?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, doing wonderful. We already have Shannon here in the show giving you a shout out. She is definitely very excited. Shannon is also very creative and is just a wonderful, wonderful educator. So thank you, Shannon, for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Hi, Shannon.
So, Claudio, I know we were talking a little bit, right now before we started. So you definitely kind of been busy. But again, I want to thank you for, finding some time to be here today and chatting about something that I know that you love and definitely something that you inspire not only myself, but other educators to do. And it's all about creativity. But before we do that, sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Just, maybe some people in our audience may not be familiar with your work, with who you are, which is, I doubt, but you just never know. Just let us know a little bit of who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, hey, I just want to say, I also see Dr. Karanis hop on there, and congratulations to him on him becoming doctor, man. It's cool to see folks hopping on. But yeah, I'm trying to catch my breath. I did a little before I hopped on. I don't know if you see my drum set right here. I was chatting work. I'm actually going to be moving pretty soon, and a lot of this stuff I'm going to pack up. So it's been a week maybe since I hit the drums there. So I did a little drumming before hopping on with you. So I think I'm a little out of breath because I went full on. So I swapped out the shirt. But yeah, my name is Claudio Zavala Jr. and I am currently, my role right now is a digital designer in Burleson ISD here in Texas, air drummer.
Yeah.
And so my role right now is working with the virtual learning piece in the district. I joined the district. July, it'll be a year since I joined here, and great people. It's a weird transition to go from one place of employment to another one during COVID, during being closed up. And but it's been a great 9 months maybe so far. I've lost track of time, but and then I've been in education. Geez, you get to the point where you just stop counting because you start to feel old. 25 years, I think now.
Wow.
Yeah. My son will be 24 this October. So 25 years, 25, maybe going on 26. It was one of those things I don't feel like it's been 25. It's I would say the last 12 years I've kind of been in the ed tech world in education. So the first 13 years I taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th different grade levels and taught bilingual students. So myself, I grew up a Spanish speaker, so I taught students that were basically how I was growing up. So it was really neat to connect students like that, to make that connection with them. So I taught for 13 years and I lived out in California for, gosh, I have to find out how old I was when I moved out here. 30 something years, and then came over here to Texas. It's a great place to be. I've been here 14 years. So within those 14 years, I taught 2 years here. And then, like I said, I've been like 11, 12 years in the edtech world, and from trainer to coordinator to like specialist. And so throughout all those years, I just enjoy working with educators and sharing ideas on how to create and how to share voices. And that's what I'm really passionate about. We talked a little bit before about being super busy, and I shared today on Instagram, what does the word hustle mean? And I know a lot of us that are in the ed tech world and education, we have what we call our side hustles. We're
Oh yeah.
we're just passionate about certain things, and you work during the day and you do your stuff during the day. You do a lot of your like what you enjoy doing. Your hustle stuff kind of leads into what you do during the day, but you get home and you're just like, man, I'm just going to jump on it. It just create, one of the great things about the mobility, mobile phones, is you can create anywhere. So I'm on my lunch break eating something, I'll be on my phone. You're just like, okay, creating something. So I'm constantly creating it. So I enjoy that whole creation piece. And that's kind of that's what I'm all about, is sharing ideas and sharing tips and ways that anyone from an adult, because we're all learners, an adult all the way, to a student. My daughter's in 11th grade, 16 years old. So, in any range, being able to connect. And I just enjoy teaching. And, if you are on social media, you could find me at Claudio Zavala Jr. You can find me everywhere with that. And then on my YouTube channel as well, you can search that. Now it comes up. Before it didn't come up, but I am Claudius.com is my website. And you could also find that on YouTube. And so I'm kind of segueing into that YouTube piece. Is a few years back, I just decided, hey, I took the risk and say, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing some of my work. And I didn't know if people were going to watch it. And you kind of just go on a limb and say, hey, if I fall flat, I fall flat. And if it doesn't work, I'll just try something different. And I've blessed and fortunate that, I just hit a huge within the last week, some pretty huge milestones on my YouTube channel. It's 7,000 subscribers, which I think is insanely crazy. And then I have 500,000 views, which I was like, holy cow, 500,000 people have watched my content. Now, if only all of those subscribe, that would be great.
Right.
I could get all those subscribers, but though I don't know the way the algorithm works, now my stuff is starting to get pushed out different places, and which is really great. And it's not like, I'm not trying to get YouTube famous or anything like that. If it happens, that's cool. It's a side, I call it a side effect of, just when you do, not because I'm trying to say that I do good things, but when you do good things, it's just kind of karma, if you want to call it karma, if you want to call it, like just that principle of, sharing good stuff come back to you. I'm definitely a believer of that. And people share with you, and then you just share with others. And, I've we talked a little bit about the gear that I've kind of gotten throughout this time doing the YouTube channels. People reaching out and say, hey, can you test this gear out? So yeah. And some stuff I honestly, I get a ton of, hey, can you test this? And I was like, that's not what I want to share with my audience. So I turn stuff down because it just won't fit what I do. Whatever I share is something like I've tested, I tried out. I say, hey, this is pretty inexpensive that a teacher can use, or someone that, that wants to up their game, say, hey, this costs a little bit more, but it's worth it. So it's really cool. And so I love doing this, and I'm having fun doing it.
Oh man, and it shows, Claudio. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and all of our audience members. Thank you so much. We got Shannon, we've got Omar Lopez, who's also joining us. Thank you, Omar, another guy who's amazing creator, and he's actually my neighbor. I didn't even know we've known each other for years, and I just found out that we live like maybe about a mile and a half away from each other or something like that. So that's something that's interesting. So it's just really exciting. And But going back to what you were saying, Claudio, just your passion for creating, and I know you. I want to talk a little bit about one thing that you said, and it's really resonates with me. And as I did have Al Thomas here on the show several shows back, and he's just followed him on Instagram and followed you also on Instagram for a while now, and just getting to see the things that you do. And and it was a rough time because I had kind of just transitioned to a new position. And not that it was a rough time at work, but it's like I wasn't creating as much as I was, just because new transition, things kind of switched up. And but then all of a sudden, now during COVID, it's kind of like I was in that rut. But after I had Al on the show, something just like a switch just turned on, and then just being able to contact you as well, and just being able to follow you guys on social media, and just see what you guys do, and inspiring other educators to really put yourself out there, that it has really transformed myself professionally, personally, and it's helped out in more ways than one to be able to learn. And like you said, taking the risk that, yeah, you may fall flat, but maybe you're doing something good and people see what you're doing. And like Al mentioned, and I always quote Al on this, it's like there's always one person that's looking at you to see what you do, and they're waiting for you to do that one thing. And for you guys, it's just really me watching you guys do what you do. Putting yourself out there really helps me, just to say, hey, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get out there. Let's create. And I have seen a transformation in myself, just through my personal practice here at home, like you said, the side hustle of the podcast and creating, but also even at work, finding creative ways to do my work and make it fun for everybody. So it's just been amazing. So I definitely want to thank you for what you do, because it does make a difference for a lot of us. And you have such a unique way of, like you said, we're all learners, but you explain things in such a way that is just very easy to grasp. And that's, I think, what I like, and a lot of us like about your content. Your videos are just bite-sized PDs that are spot on, and it just makes us want more and more. So that's great.
Cool. I appreciate that. That's I thank you so much. I'm reading the comments in here. Just super honored and humbled, to say, appreciate. And like you said, people are watching you, and I always think when you're doing that, like I was talking about my shirt right here, that's like the thing I always say at the end of my videos: be good to one another. So it's like just doing good things. And I don't know, you mentioned the way when I do my videos, and it's interesting because I read the analytics for YouTube. I jump on there, and if you're listening and we're talking about the YouTube, I try not to get too in the weeds a bit of it, but you definitely go in analytics when you start to see your growth. You start to say, okay, what is it that's working for me? What is it that's not? What are people enjoying? But I've got some videos I have, and some are fairly newer, but I've got some videos where I've got like 12,000 views just for one video. I'm like, okay, what was about that one that hit? And so it's just, it could be timing. It could be the time of the year. But I get to the point where it's like, well, I look at that and say, hey, I'm going to keep rolling with what I'm doing, like creating Spark videos, Rush videos. And then I've got some tech reviews coming soon. I want to get back into doing that as well. But one of the comments then going through the analytics of YouTube is I've got followers that are educators, which is like my base. I like to say that's like, but I try to create it in a way where it's not just for, it's for anybody, an educator, a business owner. I've got several business owners that reached out to me about, kind of doing some work with them or consulting with them. And then I've got, this is interesting. I've had so you look at the languages where your audience is. So, United States, the English, and I've got some, in Mexico, but I've got a huge percentage. It's interesting. You want to take a guess from where?
I'm going to say maybe Europe.
Not Europe. I would say it's on that side of the world, but India.
Okay.
India. Yeah. I've had huge, like, people from India that reach out to me. And so at one point I was translating my not myself translating, but I was using a service to translate to Hindi, because I noticed, hey, I've got a a small percentage, but it's a percentage. And now that you can pretty much, you just use Chrome and you can just auto translate YouTube, and so I could save a little money there, not to do the translation. But yeah, interesting to have so people from India will reach out and message me and say, hey, it's like, I really enjoy the video, and like you said, the bite-sized nuggets. And that's also something I always share with coaching, or anyone that's doing something like this, is chunking content. And I think, I'm still working on it, making, you always got to learn. I say you never become a master at anything, because once you say you're a master, you're not. You got to continue. But in my videos, but as well as in teaching, I always share with teachers and anyone who asks me, about creating content, if you're doing virtual teaching, which is, it's hard. You have your standards, it's like, you have to hit this and that. But if you can find a way, and you may be the person to make this happen, but find the way for you, and everybody will do it their own way, but to chunk that content for your students and chunk that content for your learners, so it's not too much. So I think I compare it to a box of chicken nuggets, and we're not getting paid by McDonald's to say that, but so it's not sponsored by McDonald's. So I think, the chicken nuggets, and, you buy this big old box, it's, 20 nuggets, whatever, but this is chicken, but it's all in little nuggets, pieces. And, if you give your learner like those bite-sized nuggets of content, not, it's like all at once, you want to give them those nuggets of information, so then they could take that little nugget and then dissect it, digest it, and then internalize it. It's like, okay, now I can go to the next piece. And I think that's the hard part. I know that's in teaching. My wife teaches kinder, and with that grade at age level, you constantly have to be on your toes. You can't, a 16-year-old is much different than a 5-year-old, as far as like when you are sharing the content. You pretty much, I almost would say, do what you do in kinder as far as like breaking up the content. I almost say, I wonder how that would work if you would do that in high school. I think, for us adults, I enjoy, like, I'll watch people. There's some folks that I'll watch that are doing some amazing. I'm like, I'm blown away by the stuff they do, and their stuff is just concise, and that's the key. It's like, just keep it simple. I just got a little format that I do. Hey, I'm going to talk about this, and then I do it. Hey, I talked about this today. See you next time.
There you go. But I think it works so well, and like you said, it's applicable, both in teaching, and especially now in the way that we may be teaching with remote learning. And I think oftentimes teachers, maybe they just still feel that pressure. It's almost like they're still in the classroom, and they feel like I need to push through everything. But if you just give them those, like you said, those nuggets, give them that core, and you said let them digest, and then maybe have them create something with that, or maybe get a learning artifact through a creative process, maybe using some of the tools, like Adobe, or any of the Adobe tools that you have, or in any which way, shape, or form, just to check their learning. I mean, that can really, save a lot of stress and a lot of time. And you're really diving in and seeing if the student is learning. Like, for example, like with what you do, those little chunks, I'm one of those that I'll pause. And that's what I love about YouTube. I'll pause and play, pause and play, pause and play. I recently, I picked up, I was doing even though I already have the level 1, level 2 for Adobe Creative Educator, I still went in and I had with Clara and Tanya, what they were doing for the Google trainers, went in there and just picked up some nuggets. But then I said, you know what? Like, I don't know what, I just got inspired, and I said, hey, let me try some of the other hardcore tools, like, Illustrator and then Photoshop. And I just went in, found some videos, like you said, like little bite-sized nuggets. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, check out my first pixel stretch video.
I saw
Here's
that.
my
Cool.
here's my second one. Hey, here's my whale and here's my penguin. And today I learned some new tools, the shape remover tools and Illustrator, but it's because I just, the way that they present it, it doesn't make the platform seem so ominous.
Yeah.
And I think maybe like you said, your formula, that translates very well also into the classroom, where you take those big chunks, you don't make it so ominous, you present it, you digest it, you have the ability to pause and play, come back to it, and really internalize. So I think that's pretty neat, really cool.
Yeah, that's I'm just going to piggyback on what you're saying about the Adobe tools. And I probably should have said this at the beginning. Full transparency, I mean, I love Adobe products. I've been using it for years. And I mean, I'm an Adobe Spark ambassador. There's a group, I don't remember how many number there are in it, and then the Adobe Education Leader, and then, like you mentioned, the Adobe Creative Educator. But I think, like you said, I think sometimes the great thing about that program is it's making a lot of those tools. I think someone who may not be like a graphic designer background, it may be intimidated by something like that, but you mentioned that they're doing a great job of making those tools accessible for, it's everyone. It's like everyone can create. You don't have to have you have some people that are very talented artists, and they're skilled in that, technically. My daughter is she's the artist of the family. I've done some pencil, my wife too, but she is like, like, wow, she does some stuff like, is that really drawn? It looks digital, or vice versa. She'll do digital. But yeah, I think everybody has the capacity to create. I think the thing is that don't think that you have to be the artsy person. It's innate in all of us, and it doesn't have to do just with creating a piece of art. It's creativity just encompasses, everything. I'll use the example. This past week, we were moving some stuff to storage. I have some storage units that I'm renting to keep stuff until we move to our new house. But you got the boxes, and I took like one afternoon. My wife and daughter went somewhere, so I said, I'm going to go to the storage and kind of rearrange things. And then I went back, and she went with me, and she's like, my goodness, you're like a Tetris genius. Because I took all the boxes and stacked them like it didn't look like it was to be enough room in there, but it's that whole creative process. Like, what can I do to fix this? And you're like trying to figure out, that's the whole critical thinking, that creative process, like trying to figure out, how am I going to get this done? And I mean, I in high school, I took drafting for 4 years. I took wood shop for 4 years. So I've got some of that background as far as like building, but even in all that, I think all that has helped me, when I analyze things, when I do something, put something together, I really look at it and like, well, what should I do if I'm going to do this? No, that's not going to fit there. What if I design it this way? What if I cut it this way? What if I shift it over here? And all that kind of stuff. You're creatively thinking how to do something. And so I think everyone has that ability. You're a chef. You're cooking something. You're baking something. You're going to be creative. It's like, well, I'll use this example. My daughter, I'm super proud of her. I'm just going to talk about her. We were somewhere. She's like, she loves to bake, and we were buying ingredients, and said, well, if we don't have buttermilk, that's okay. I was like, are you sure? How are we going to do it without buttermilk? She was like, I'll just use vinegar. I'm like, vinegar for, he goes, yeah, you just vinegar and you use that and you mix it and you create your own buttermilk. Okay. Really? She goes, yeah, I've done it before. I said, I've eaten it like that. She said, yeah. I'm like, oh. And just like, she learned it somewhere, but it's just that whole like, well, I don't have that ingredient, but I'll substitute it because I've learned that, these two kind of, I can make this with that. So it's just applying it on all things, so everybody out there, you're creative.
Yeah. And, I wanted to talk about that because I know I saw one of your episodes of, what's it called? Oh my goodness, I went blank, but it's here on your website on the creative lounge.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw your episode there with the couple. I can't remember their last name, but
Grundlers.
yes, the
Yes.
Grundlers. And one thing that I loved that they said is, and you said it yourself too, you don't have to know how to draw you to be creative. You don't have to necessarily be an expert in one of these platforms. And you know what, Chris? I mean, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, Claudio, sorry.
You're right. You're right.
I was like,
Been a
oh
long
my
day.
goodness. Yeah, it's been one of those days. But I wanted to say, Claudio, it's like one of those things that I was never an artist, maybe, and at least maybe I saw it as art, but maybe my parents didn't see it that way or the
Mhm.
teachers didn't see it that way. But it wasn't until later on that I started being able to have access to digital tools
Mhm.
that, yeah, I couldn't draw, but you know what? I was able to still create and express myself through those creations. I mean, when I got into AR, I mean, I was started creating videos just with AR and just
Mhm.
finding creative ways of using that technology. And I've done videos where I'll put earrings on my wife and a little heart and put that out there. And to me, it may not seem, or maybe to others, it may not seem, well, that's not creative. That's just using technology. But you're using the technology in a creative way
Yeah.
to create this video. So now that makes you a creator, kind of, because you're putting it out there, through a media, and you're expressing yourself. And I recently did a show with Chelsea Robertson, who is a guest, and I was talking about AR VR, and I shared how I use Adobe Aero to create little Max. I call him Little Max, and he's breakdancing and doing flips. And I told him, because I can't draw or express the way that I felt when my wife cooked my favorite meal.
Mhm.
I put Max and I made him dance, and that was a projection of what I was feeling. I was just
Yeah.
happy. I mean, my tummy was happy. I was creating something. So I love what you said. You don't have to be necessarily a great artist with pencil to or charcoal or by any of that medium. And I know Shannon's here, and she talks about using fresco.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Shannon said, it's not about necessarily being great at it, but it's enjoying what you're doing. And then, of course, you have multiple iterations of that. And I remember when I got out of my creative rut and kind of just took a picture of myself, and I was using, of course, through one of your videos or something you had posted, using the Photoshop Cam app.
Mhm.
So I created that video, and I actually made a sticker out of that. That is probably here. I should have had it out,
Yeah. No
but
worries.
I had different iterations of that same sticker, and I told Al, I was like, I bet people are pretty tired of seeing the same pose, the same thing. But he's like, no, man. He goes, look, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep putting it out there because you're changing something.
Mhm.
It's improving. You're trying new things. So no matter if it's the same picture, there's always something different that
Yeah.
has been added on there. And that really just changed and flipped that switch to say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's the same picture. I can do multiple things to it that gives a different feel, that gives a different interpretation, and you're creating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's I know that Al says this, for those of you who don't know, Al Thomas at EduCopilot, um, he uses this phrase, you stretch your creative muscles. And he loves saying that, and stretch those creative muscles. And that's basically, if you've I've recently started working out again, and when you first start to lift again, or start doing push-ups, or what, squats or whatever, what's going on with your muscles is you're basically tearing you're slowly kind of making tiny, like, microscopic tears, or stretching your muscle, those striations in your muscles, you're stretching them. You're slightly, like, when I say tear, it's not like you're tearing your muscle, but
Right.
they are like very microscopic tears, and because your muscle's growing, and it's going to be sore for a bit. So your creative muscle, you can get a little frustrated, because like, oh, this is like, man, I'm having, like, it's not looking the way I want it to, and it's got to start over, but it's, again, it just go through that process, let it happen, as you're stretching your creative muscle. And going to you said something that was going to make me think, maybe we'll just go back to you mentioned something of my channel, but or video. Lost train of thought. That's what happens when you start
Yeah.
getting older.
No worries, man. It's all good.
But yeah, going back to some of the oh no, I was going to say you were worried about what people getting tired of seeing, like the image. I mean I do that. I'll take an image, and I'll change the wording on the image, and and a funny interesting thing, if you follow or even look at these people that are on social media, like the people that are like have 100,000 followers, and they're like entrepreneurs and stuff, and I'll watch them and see what they're doing. They do a lot of stuff. They repeat a lot of their content. They use it over. They may change wording, or like you do, you change the color a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's like, hey, it's marketing too as well. That's a whole other piece there. But I mean, I've done it before, and you switch the color, go from color to black and white. I do that. I'll swap it out, and it's like, hey, that looks pretty cool in black and white. I'll do that way. And so, don't worry about what other people are saying for you or anybody listening. And that's also a struggle for a lot of people that are trying to start. If you're out there trying to, I don't know if anybody wants to hear what I say or see what I do. But it's like, if you're doing it because you want the adulation of people, then it's not the right thing to do. You do it because something you have passion about, you can share it, and really bluntly, you don't care. It's basically gets more like, I don't really care what anybody says about it. It's like, I enjoy doing it. I'm going to share it because there's going to be someone out there that's going to enjoy it. And I mean, it's funny. I get these comments on my YouTube channel, and someone will say something like, wow, that's pretty interesting. like they were angry because my video wasn't a certain, like, you lied your title. I'm like, okay, let me read my title. Okay, I don't know if I lied about my title, but it was like one bad comment out of like 100 comments, and I'm like, I'm not gonna dwell on that one bad one. Just I have 99 other ones that says, like, you know what, that person just, maybe they were not having a good day, or I was like, I just ignore it. I don't even respond back. So, and that's going to happen whenever you start to create things, whenever you start to, put yourself out there. There's going to be people that just going to find something to say. It's like, oh man, your hair was off a little bit there. Your hair wasn't on right, or you wear your hat backwards. That's not right. Or, you I don't like the color of your glasses. Hey, you just be you, do you, share your voice, and because no one's going to tell it like you tell it.
Exactly, man. And I love that, like you said, and just, putting yourself out there has been something that is really helping out. And even just with this podcast and starting this and just hearing people's stories, but the ability that I've had, that been blessed to be able to ask people such as yourself to come on the show, people that I've looked up to, and just hear their stories, and just to inspire others as you guys have inspired me. And just to hear your stories, where you're from, and just being real is, I know that people out there that are listening will definitely be, number one, probably say, hey man, like that Claudio guy is like real laid back. And I think oftentimes it's a perception where people think like, oh no, like I can't message them, or I can't, I mean, they're too edgy famous. Like there's no way. But you know what? I was like, all the people that I've reached out to, including yourself, man, have been the nicest people. And, to say, hey man, keep doing what you're doing, hey, do this. And it's been awesome, man. And that's been great, because it's definitely been inspiring to me, inspiring to others. And just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's one thing. And I try, like, going back to the comments that come through either on like Instagram, and or on Twitter, or on YouTube, people I don't know, like I was mentioning, I've got some people I have no idea. I think I've got one connection. I want to say he may be maybe South Africa. I'm not sure, but he's like just starting he's just like being inspired, and he's sharing his content with me. And I'm like, hey dude, I give him thumbs up, and I'll have a little conversation. He's like, or he'll ask a question, and I know that's it may get busier where I get more things, and I do my best to try to answer like all the DMs that come through, and comments, and that's an important piece of that engagement with others and the creators and people that reach out to you. Just even if it's like, hey, thank you for watching, and just like in a little emoji thumbs up. But definitely, I totally like, someone took time. I'm going to use this example as years back when I first started playing drums as a kid, and I started myself like self-taught. I'm pretty much self-taught as a drummer, but at one point, like there was some things I just didn't know, and someone took time. They did it for free. They didn't charge. It's like they just saw that I had the passion to learn, and I wanted to do it. And at the time, I was playing in a church, and he's like, "Hey, okay, when this part of the song comes, you want to kind of do this. When this other part of the song, you kind of want to mellow down." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And all along the way, as my journey through being a musician and journey through what I'm doing, is people have always taken time to share nuggets of wisdom, just little tips. And so it's like, you, I've, it's just, I think it's just the right thing to do. Is like, hey, I'm going to just give back because someone's taken time to do something for me, and I just want to give back. And part of what I do, that YouTube, and I definitely, it's like, there's no fee for watching YouTube, which is awesome. And the creators out there, the stuff that I watch, I'm like, man, it's like, some people have like memberships, and which is a part, and so but like for the most part, it's like, man, I'm just sharing as much as I can. And some people have reached out, and I'm doing some one-on-one with some individuals, and just like, hey, that's pretty cool to be able to do that. And but yeah, so hey, I see a question here that someone asked me a question. You would want to? Is it okay if I answer?
Yeah. I was just waiting for like that little segue right here. So we've got Shannon here who had a question and says, Claudio, what are you hoping to learn about yourself, your work, others, whatever, in the next few months?
Wow, so
pretty deep.
Yeah, it is. Let's see, I need to have my little pulling of the beard.
Yeah.
I want to say, so we're in a transition right now. Personally, we sold our house. Technically, we're no longer homeowners. We already signed off the paper. So, it's learning about myself about the next several months is a transition time. What can I continue what I'm doing? Yes, the answer is I'm going to answer my own questions. Yes, I'm going to do it, but it's going to be in a different spot. I'm going to, those little things I'm going to learn about myself is like being flexible. To it's going to be different. How am I going to manage my time? I think that one of the things I'm going to learn about myself is how I can be a better maybe manage my time better. I love watching movies, and I love watching shows, and I used to have 2 monitors, and I took one down because we were moving, but I'm kind of liking that. And here's why: because I would work on one, and I would have a movie playing on the other one, and I would pick something I've already watched, so it's not, I don't have to think too much on it. It's like, oh, I already know this part. I just needed something, but I would get to the point where I would catch myself, and I would not do my projects, and this is like my own stuff, and it take longer. So something that I learned about myself is like, okay, and I continue to learn. It's like, I need to keep that distraction out, or it's going to stop me from, and it's actually helped. It's definitely helped me. So having just the one monitor, I'm going to have a second one again once I go back, but just because I like being able to put 2 things, work on part of Premiere over here, and the other window here. But so about my work, I'm hoping to, and maybe this will be like a forecast or something, but can I get this done? So maybe this, I don't know if this fits that question, but something in the next few months, Shannon, that I'm looking forward to doing is, I'm actually, I mentioned like what other YouTubers are doing. I actually am working on a course, like having an online course. It's different. I'm thinking tiered ones, or something that's like, something available that for anybody who wants to watch it, like, but if someone wants to go pretty deep into it, like maybe like a master type class. And so it's kind of something in the next few months that I'm hoping to launch. And so that's like excited about. So I guess I'm going to hopefully learn if I can get that done.
So how about this? Like Shannon also is like, with the transition, how will the shift in the space, physical or mental, affect your creative process?
So that's a good question. So if I understand the question right, like shift in space as far as physical, I've like the area. So I did this a while back when I was on a live stream, and I was testing out some new gear that I had. And I've been here 14 years, and the last 4 years has been 4 years ago is when I started the channel, but like I really took it serious like 3 years ago. And I've had this space to really create, and the painted the walls a certain color, and I made sound panels for the windows to keep the noise out. And it's the different space where I'm going to be in a kind of a in the interim, like I mentioned earlier, renting a space. And the walls, I already went to, I've already seen it. They're white walls, so it's not going to be like this. And I'm already like right now thinking like, okay, I've got these like these LED lights behind me. So like, okay, how am I going to set that up so it looks, am I going to turn the lights off completely? Am I going to black out the window? What time am I recording? So I'm starting to think about those things now. It's like, well, where's the light going to be coming in from? Where's the best angle to shoot from? Am I going to be able to get a nice depth of field? And in the meantime, until I finally get to the next space, I'm super excited about when we get to our spot, because like I'm already like do little sketches. Oh, I want this wall to look like this. I want to get a neon sign.
Yes,
But
yes.
I start to price those out, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've thought about it, and I'm like, I'll have to hold off on that.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a lens instead. It's like, so yeah. So I started thinking about those things. So as far as I'm going to say it's really making me think as far as like logistically of things, and then mentally, it's like time. That's the thing. Um, one of the things my family's like super supportive, and there's times when I'm stuck. I'm in here. We'll go ahead. I'll have dinner. We'll chat, and then the kids go off and do home. One of them does homework. The other one goes off, and I'll just hey, let me go wrap this up. So I'm mentally, it's like I want to make sure and have time for family, and one of the things thinking in the future is like just really being better with my time management. As far as getting those videos done. Like I mentioned to you earlier, it's like I've already recorded, like I've got 5-6 videos for the next month and a half. And so in the meantime, while I'm getting everything set up, I don't have to worry about recording something. And so, but I know once I'm editing that 5th or 6th video, I'm like, hey, okay, I got to get the next ones out. So, my process now is I try to batch record videos. Yeah. And that's tiring. Got to have a lot of water, stretch breaks. But the nice thing about this, you get them all recorded, then it frees you up to do other things, and being able to create for social media. And well, funny thing is I'll set up the camera here to do my video, and then I'll turn it the other way, 916 for Instagram. I'll film something that way. I'll flip it back the other way. I'll give my secret here too. I have my other shirt that I say creative on it. I have like 4 different colors of that shirt. So when I record one video, I'll go shirt, come back in the same setting. So at least, and I try to do that with content that's pretty, they say evergreen, that you can just play pretty much. But whenever there's like something that's current or timely, or it's like, I try to record those too. It's like someone mentioned something in the comments. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea for a video. I'm gonna do that one. I have I have a little notebook where I write down my stuff, and like when I get ideas, this will be a good video. So yeah, I mean, I hope I answered your question, Shannon. I probably like started to fade out right there, but
Here we go. Hey, Shannon's got some great questions because she's an excellent creator herself too. But here's a great question. As a creative, are you more of a planner or do you work best on spontaneity or spontaneity?
I would like to say I'm a little both, but I'm definitely a planner. If you ask my family, I'm a planner. We recently went to Disney World, and well, you have to plan it because
Yeah.
of the whole thing. But yeah, I'm a planner. But when my spontaneity comes in is when I'm recording the video. I think that's when I do the spontaneity is, different takes, do your introduction and say, I didn't like that one, or let me do it a little bit different. And I'll say something that, I used to plan out all my videos, like script them out, and it was word for word, man, but that took a ton of time. It took a lot of time. But you know what? If you're doing it out there, if you're starting, and this, like, if anybody's watching this, if you want to start your own YouTube channel or videos, I'd recommend starting off that way. But not to read it verbatim, but just that actually helps, I don't know if you're a note taker,
Yeah.
you're taking notes, and it starts to ingrain of like what you're saying. So at least you have a flow. Sometimes I just get a little sticky note and just get the points. And now I'm just used, now I've got it, like hey, today we're going to do this. My bumper runs. Hey, everybody, how are you? And I do my intro and let's jump right in. And one of the things reason I did that a lot more quicker getting into the material is through the content, the comments. People say like, you took a lot of time at the intro, like too much to get to the meaty part. So that's why the chunking. Now, sometimes I may go and it's like, hey, I haven't done a video in a while. I like to get personal with people. I like them to know, but I think that's where I'm trying to go a little more vloggy do a vlog, which with this move, that's probably where I'm going to start doing a little bit, recording some of that stuff. But so I'm a spontaneous planner.
There you go. I like that. I consider myself more just a spontaneous kind of guy because all of a sudden it's like, I was like, I learned this, but now like, let me try this Illustrator and let me try this Photoshop. And I was like, yeah, I just want to learn it right now. Like I'm one of those. But the thing is like once I'm there, like I want to learn it. So I'll sit there and I'll learn it. And then once I learn it, I practice it. Like, so what happens is like these last videos that I've done with Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, like I'll watch the video and the thing that I put out on social media, like that took me about 40 minutes to do, but I was going step by step, pause and play, pause and play, pause and play, and getting everything. And then what I started doing is, and what I do there on those videos, and that's why I put a little there, like I'm not looking for perfection. I just want to show you my learning because that's what I'm interested in. And like, wow, look, I did this in 38 minutes. Can I do it faster next time now that I know what I'm doing and then improve on that? And then the second video was an improvement. I'm going to release my Adobe Illustrator video now, the new one with the penguin and adding some shadows to it. And so, but again, I'm one of those like just spontaneously, I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn it. Let me do it.
Yeah.
Okay, record it. And now I go through the motion and I'll do it at least 3, 4, 5 times until I dial in and get everything. Because like you said, for me, I'm one of those that is hands-on, visual, and kinesthetic. So that is what helps me to ingrain this into my head to do and put out those videos. And then, sometimes like, and you see me in the mornings when I do the shout outs on Instagram, that's just completely spontaneous just because it's like, hey, I'm having some coffee, hoping everybody's having a great day, promoting a show, or just sharing a thought, more of that vlogging kind of deal. So
Absolutely.
it's just, it's pretty cool. I mean, and going back to that, like being a creative, I mean, a vlog, a blog, either drawing or putting out videos. I mean, those are great ways for somebody to amplify their voice, amplify their passion, really put themselves out there. And I think that now we have so many great tools that can be used where people can just put out and show themselves to the world. And I just want to encourage people like myself. Like I know, like I said, I went through that rut. I had Al on the show at Edu Copilot, and then even yourself, just being very cool and just very supportive, and just say, hey, just keep doing what you're doing, and you do it, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, like you said, you're exercising that creative muscle. Now you're just out there and putting things out either daily or every so often, working on different iterations, and with that, just hoping to inspire other people to just amplify their voice. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's I'm looking here, reading through the comments, and um yes, sketching thoughts, absolutely. What, like I said, man, I wish I had it with me right here. I think I still have the backpack, but it's a little notebook that has those little strips, like a rubber band kind of thing. And
Yeah.
um yeah, I think in the spontaneity for me is in that it's like, if I think of an idea, I'll either write it down in the notes app or type it, write down on type it out, or write it on either on a sticky or in that book, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. And so I think that's for me, like the spontaneity is like, well, when an idea comes, yeah, I try to like just like,
I've
oh,
got that.
that's another idea. Oh, I like that idea. And it's funny because I sometimes it's either riding a bike and like, oh man, and I start the whole time I'm riding, I'm thinking of like my next video. Oh, time I ride, I'm thinking, or so then a thought comes like, oh, and then I just hope I don't forget it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like sometimes I'll drive, to work, and all of a sudden I just get consumed with either something I saw and I said, "Hey, I'm inspired by that."
Mhm.
Maybe tweak things, and then you're just thinking and have that process, write it down. Or now what I've learned to do is sometimes, and I don't do it while I'm driving, but just to not worry about typing it, I'll just use a voice note and just record,
Yeah,
and then now I'll just transcribe it or just listen to it later.
yeah,
And man, that helps out so much
yeah. Hey
now.
Siri, type this out for me. Oh, hold
Yeah.
on. I just woke
So
her up.
yeah, there you go. Our special guest Siri today.
Welcome to the video.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, man, Claudio. Well, you know what? Thank you so much, Claudio, for just sharing, just yourself and just having this real casual conversation. And as always, being very inspirational, sharing your thought process, where you're coming from, what you're hoping to do, and of course, you've got these moves and that are happening. But we definitely wish you the best as you move into your new home and then you get your new studio set up. But meanwhile, it's going to be a lot of improvising, adapting, and overcoming, in that new office space
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that good stuff. But, I just seriously want to thank you sincerely, and I know I say it a lot, but, you and Al have just been a great, just played a big role in me being able to get out of that creative rut and really exercising my creative muscles and being able to do what I do now and putting myself out there. And I know you do the same for many others. So I thank you so much for your support, your guidance, your kind words, and everything that you do for not only the educator community, but for all creators out there. You're definitely a great example of just a wonderful person through and through with what you do. And just, I wish you the best in everything, man.
All right.
Seriously.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm reading some notes, and I like that idea, Shannon. I may be looking, yeah, a little contest there. Once I get a little bit settled, I think I might. I wrote it down, so I don't forget it. But yeah, and appreciate the comments. Yeah, oh, it's humble and thankful, and thank you all for the wonderful things you say, and appreciate it. And hey, well, I guess I'll do a last plug. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go check it out. And
Yeah.
find me
Yeah,
at
for sure. Let me go ahead
Claudius
and
Junior on all the social media places, and let's connect. And yeah, let's just be creative out there.
yeah. Oh, and we have Ismael here, Life Through a Lens. He's an awesome creator here, local. He's actually the one that did both my intro videos, the daytime
Oh, cool,
and
cool.
nighttime intro
Oh
video.
yes, I did. I think I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a great guy here. He's doing some great things, and I know he's definitely inspired. And and that's one of the reasons that I wanted you to be on the show, just because the impact that you have on myself and many other people, and just to be able to share a little bit more about yourself. And of course, when I was talking to Al several shows ago, I was like, man. And that's when I told him, I was like, hey, do you think that you can talk to Claudio and see if he'll be on the show? And then he's like, well, I might just nudge him, a little bit just to see. And I know you've been busy and everything, but again, I'm just thankful that
Appreciate
you were here and got to share a little
Yeah,
bit more about yourself, man.
it worked out, which is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
right before my move too, so it's perfect.
There you
We get the last view. Everybody say goodbye to the room.
Oh, there you go. That room, man. So many stories, so many videos, so much stuff happening in that room. That's just pure awesome sauce that's on your website. But thank you again for being here. And everybody that joined us, thank you so much for always being supportive here on our show. And as you know, Maya Tech Life is all about connecting educators and creators one show at a time. So again, if you're going to rewatch this, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. You can listen to us on our pod page. You can go to our website at myedtech.life. The show will be up shortly within the next half hour, and we'll definitely put that link out. But again, just visit our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can also visit Tech Teacher 1381 on YouTube. That's where you'll see some of my videos that I've been putting out on Adobe Illustrator. And, maybe you might get inspired. I mean, I'm just, like I said, putting myself out there. And, but again, thank you guys all for your support on this midweek show. And we'll see you guys this coming Saturday. And guys, remember, until next time, stay techie, my friends.